Okay, if you think about it, every single person who hires me as their coach has a goal. They want to feel better. They want to learn a skill. They want a new job. They want a promotion. They want a raise. They want to start a business. They want more clients in their business. They have a goal. And achieving a goal is actually, the outline for achieving a goal is actually quite simple, but implementing the actions, implementing what you know to be necessary intellectually is not always easy. So this is a very simplistic overview of how we approach achieving a goal. The first step is creating clarity. The clarity is what creates the power, the momentum behind the goal. So you want to be very clear about the goal you want to achieve, why you want to achieve it, how you'll know if you have achieved it, so something measurable. And you can even measure it through a feeling, and you just want one. I'm often asked, like, well, I not asked, clients pitch like, well, I'd like to work on two things. Absolutely fantastic. We'll work on two things, but one at a time. Let me explain why. When you decide on two goals, especially if they're in a similar, well, it doesn't really matter. If you decide on two goals, I want to walk 10,000 steps a day, and I also want to get a new job. Okay. It's not impossible to do the two things, but what's going to happen is you're going to have a plan for one and a plan for the other. And then your brain will start to negotiate with you. Like, well, I don't really have time to do both today. So I'll do the steps. I'll just do the steps. And what we usually do is we lean into the thing that's a bit easier, and we create more resistance to the goal that's a little bit, in our brain at least, a little bit more uncomfortable to achieve. So one goal. And then, as I just mentioned, you want to ask yourself, what result do I want to create? How will I measure that, right? And the other thing that is a little bit of a secret sauce to the way that I approach goal achievement is, how do you want to feel? Everything we do for a feeling. And so the reason you want the job, the promotion, the raise, the increased business, the self-employment is for a feeling of accomplishment, valued, freedom, wealth, expertise, whatever it might be. And you want to identify that as clearly as the actual result of the business, the clients, the new job, the promotion. Okay. And then you want to decide what the impact will be on the goal. So it's not just sort of a static result. I will have a new, I will get the promotion. Okay. Now you can't, and you actually have no control over that, but I'm going to do all that I can to set myself up, position myself for the promotion. Well, what will be the impact if in fact you get that promotion? How will you feel? And we work with that from day one. We start to generate that feeling right now. We start to consider other ways you can create that impact right now. Okay, the second piece of this, mindset's going to come in, friends, right? Is, what are you thinking? You need to become aware of your thoughts. Your belief is what fuels the action. A to-do list, everyone knows how to create a to-do list to achieve a goal. But the thing is, we don't often implement the to-do list, or we burn out on the to-do list, right? So the most important thing before the to-do list is a belief list. It's understanding what you believe. It's choosing what to believe on purpose about this goal and about your ability to achieve it. So the circumstances are neutral. If you have tried to do this 7 other times and failed, that's just neutral. And we wouldn't even say fail, but I have not achieved it in the 7 times that I attempted before. Okay, that's just neutral. But what are your thoughts about that? This will be hard. This probably won't happen. Who am I to even think this is the time? I'm getting older, whatever it might be, that are thoughts that are actually going to influence your feelings and your actions and then the result, right? So I would recommend to just empty all the thoughts on a piece of paper. I do like pen to paper too, or pencil to paper versus typing. Whatever you are thinking, direct your brain to think the thoughts, actually to identify the thoughts you are thinking. Many are subconscious, so you're going to have to spend some time digging those up as it relates to achieving this goal. And then I want you to circle the ones that create confidence and that would fuel the commitment and the momentum in you. You'll know, they'll stand out very clearly, like I'm something like that simple, like, I'm completely committed to achieving this goal. I won't stop till I've achieved this goal. I see that Sally achieved it, so that tells me I can achieve it. This is on my bucket list. I am visualizing how proud I'll feel when and then fill in the blank, right? Then there are going to be other thoughts like the ones I referred to just a moment ago, like, who am I to think this can happen? I've always failed before. I'll probably lose motivation, that sort of thing. Those are going to be what I call obstacle thoughts. And you want to identify those as much as you wanted to identify the positive, the progress inspiring thoughts, right? And you want to solve for those. Now, again, I'm simplifying this. This takes, when I work with someone, we spend a lot more time really going over each of these steps to just make sure that the goal achievement is inevitable. It's not a potential. It's not just a possibility. It's inevitable. So, the thought obstacles often do have the words like never, should, must, have to, very disempowering language, right? So I shouldn't be doing this again. I shouldn't be this behind. I shouldn't have gained this weight. I never seem to get the promotion. I need this money. Whatever it might be, it's not that those are negative, that those are naturally negative thoughts, but they might be creating a story in your brain that is going to be an obstacle to achieving the goal. Okay, the next, and these are all fairly obvious, right? I mean, you can Google how to achieve a goal. I just want to make sure that you're getting the nuance of the mindset and the thought work involved as well. So the first decision is the easy one. I am going to launch a business. Okay, awesome. Pretty easy decision to make. It's the decision after the decision that's hard. I won't stop until I am fully operational. I will do all that I can to find 10 clients before December 31st, 2025. Whatever it might be, the second decision, I will not negotiate with myself about this goal. I will not use excuses or blame or anything outside of myself as a reason to not achieve this goal. So it's you get a little bit more granular. You're really not even granular, but you get the next layer, the why almost behind, and then what you're committed to about the decision that you've made, the goal. So I always like to say, decide in advance how you'll show up for this goal. So who do you want to be as you're achieving this goal? Who do you want to visualize yourself being as you achieve this goal? Do you want to be the one slumped over your computer, like, trying to find 10 more friends on connects on LinkedIn? Or do you want to be bright and cheery and like, this is such a fun opportunity. Here we go. You have the choice. You get to decide how you want to present yourself, how you want to feel, what you want to think. I also say that we want to remove any optional thinking. There's no more maybes, no more ifs, no more, well, now is now. It is time now to do this. What do they say? What's the best time to plant an oak tree? 50 years ago. What's the next best time? Today. This is your time. If you are watching this video, you have a goal and you're curious about how to achieve it, start today. I've already talked about identifying solutions to each obstacle thought. That's basically like turning the thought on its head, considering other things that could be true instead of that thought. And then this one is so important. Set a minimum daily baseline. If you are looking for a job, you can say, I will spend 15 minutes no matter what. Doesn't matter what time of the day, 15 minutes networking on LinkedIn. Minimum baseline. Some days you might spend an hour, some days you might spend 16 minutes, but you have a minimum. If you're going to be walking, you want to be walking 30 minutes a day, I will minimum walk 5 minutes a day, every single day. So if it's 11:55 in the evening and you're about to get into bed, you've not done the walking, you've got to walk around the house for 5 minutes. Minimum baseline. This is how you are building momentum. This is how you are staying in integrity about the commitment you've made to yourself. So this is a no matter what commitment. Okay, then take consistent action. Of course, you're like, duh, but this is where most people start to stall. So the planning part, the thinking it all through part can be a little bit fun, rather invigorating, and it's a lower lift. This is the lift. So you want to identify all the small steps that will add up to the big results, all the things you're going to need to do, and you want to write them down. And then you do not keep a running to-do list. You actually assign a date and a time in your calendar for them, okay? So you have in your calendar what you're doing every single day, what your minimum daily baseline is, and then also other things that you want to that are more than the minimum to achieve your goal. I forgot to mention initially too, I should have, you want to always give yourself a period of time in which you're doing this too. It could be that you're just going to chunk it down and do this part of the goal in 30 days, or it might be this part of the goal in 2 days. Whatever it might be, you want to have it be measurable by days too, so you can't just keep kicking it down the road, right? Like every single day in 30 days matters to get to the first part of the goal or the actual finish line. Okay, you also want to refer to your belief plan daily. So the thoughts that were really going to fuel you, we're going to keep that momentum going, kind of fuel the commitment. You want to have that present for you. So it's just as important as a to-do list is a belief plan. I can't emphasize this enough. What you read about yourself, what you put in your brain every day about yourself, about the potential for achieving this goal is what will fuel you. You've heard of self-fulfilling prophecy. That's what this is. I'm going to do this no matter what. I am committed to checking in with 5 people a day, and I don't want to embarrass myself and let them know I haven't done what I said I would do. I am building integrity with myself. All these sorts of things. I know I can do this because so and so did it. I know I can do it. I am going for my dream, whatever it might be. The belief plan, yes, can be very, very long. And then, of course, expect to not always want to do what you've committed to do. Not a problem. You don't have to want to do it, right? I'm sure that there are times, if you've got any little people in your life or ever did, that they didn't want to go to school, but that wasn't an option. Well, we're going to school. You don't have to want to go to school to go to school. I don't have to want to empty the dishwasher to empty the dishwasher. I might put it off a day, but I will be emptying the dishwasher without maybe a tremendous amount of enthusiasm, and that's not a problem. I don't know that we all love paying our taxes or we love, making the call to Comcast about the internet that's not working very well, but it doesn't mean we don't do it. We still do it even if we don't really want to do it, okay? And then finally, done is better than perfect. You've heard this a million times, I'm sure, but that goes back to the minimum daily baseline for the win, right? Something is better than nothing always. Okay, and then as you are moving along, you're acting. So you've implemented the plan, you're committed to the plan, you are engaged in the plan. You want to then audit how it's going. Act, audit, adjust. So auditing is basically committing to a weekly check-in. It can be daily if that works for you as well. Don't let it go more than a week though. And you want to ask yourself what is working and what isn't working, and be really, really honest. I like to write it down. I like to keep a journal for all the goals, each goal, a separate journal for each goal. And again, we're just doing one at a time. So it's one journal you're working on at one time. And you are then going to identify what's not working, and then you're going to adjust. So what will you do differently moving forward? I really thought that the best time for me to be working on writing this book was going to be at 5 a.m. But now I realize, actually, no, it's better for me when I've got my cup of tea and it's 8:30 at night and kind of cozy to write then. Not a problem. You just don't want to throw everything out, and you definitely don't want to shift your goal. You don't want to change the goal. You've committed to it. I say every 30 days, readjust if you need to actually shift the goal, but give yourself at least 30 days. Some people say 6 months. I'm going to be a little more lenient in that one, right? So the evaluation is just as important as the planning. The planning was important to get yourself a map, to create a map, right? But then once you are, driving toward your destination, you want to make sure that things are going the way that it's not even making sure that things are going how you want them to go. Are you getting closer to the goal? Are you making progress? If not, what's your role in that? What changes can be made? What adjustments can be made? And then also, if you do find that when you're evaluating, you've experienced a setback or a series of setbacks, it's just data. It's not failure. It's just data. Like, oh, I thought that, again, I would be writing every morning at 5, and I find that I'm putting it off, and I'm not actually writing till 8. Okay, that's just information. Or I completely missed one day. I missed my minimum daily baseline for Thursday. Okay, I guess I realized that I need to do this that I say I'm going to do first thing in the morning. First thing in the morning. I've had many, many clients who've said that to me, that they lose their enthusiasm as the day goes on, whether it is a health goal or it is a professional goal. If they conquer it in the morning, if they take care of it in the morning, it fuels them all day. And they're sort of like, oh, yeah, I've already done that. And you feel really good about yourself, right? This, again, is just a abridged version of how to achieve a goal, but it's enough to get you started. So clarity is important, commitment is important, the decision after the decision is important, identifying obstacles is important, setting a minimum daily baseline is important, acting, auditing, adjusting, all important to the goal. And the thing that I want to really emphasize the most, though, is that this is less about the action, less about all the to-dos, and more about the thoughts and the feelings that you have 100% responsibility over, agency over. And that is actually the way that you get to the finish line. It's not just white knuckling all the to-dos that you've written down. That requires willpower, and willpower runs out. Discipline, you develop. Integrity with yourself, you develop. Commitment is a verb. I'm committed. I'm acting every day in a committed way. Then I guess that would be what, an adverb? Anyway, goal achievement. I hope that this was helpful, and I'd be curious to know what goals you're looking to achieve with this outline.